under 10.5 on the line.
You have to be the biggest, dumbest idiot.
Josh Allen inside the 10, inside the 5, touchdown, game over.
Going into the draft, I was a big Penix guy. I'm still a big Penix guy.
Rashee Rice is way ahead of schedule in his ACL rehab, which is good news for his fantasy managers because the Dallas court system is way behind schedule. That's also good news for local comedian Miles Francis. Oh, hello and welcome to What Are We Talking About, Jamie Jakes. I am him, and today I am here solo to make you guys some money. This is your first time joining us every single week. NFL Insider James presents us with a slate of bets. I have a force bet in that game. I can either accept what he has brought to the table or disagree with him, or I can pivot to an over-under or whatever else he has to offer. He is not joining us today, so this is our first Invisible Ink episode of the evening. He has sent me a message in Invisible Ink. I have not read it yet. And at the end of the episode, I will reveal his picks and we'll compare them to how I decided to pick this week. I've got good news for you. We're hot. I was 5-3 last week against the spread, averaging -110. We're all about transparency here, and you'll never hear another gambling podcast be as transparent as we are. We always go over a nice little recap for y'all so we can tell you guys how hot we are. Last year, we were red hot. Me in particular, I was up over 20 units over the course of the regular season in the NFL, hitting at about a 63 or over a 63% rate. And again, that is no fugazi. Like I'm taking -300 bets. That's units wise. We were still up over 20 units for the whole season. You'll never hear any other podcaster be as transparent as us because we are actually pretty good at it and most others are not. So to recap last week's episode, of course, like always, we will start with the recap gong. Which brings us to our recap for last week, week 2. James and I, we were both profitable. So that's the good news. Bad news for James is I won, which brings our record to 2-0 on the season, which is why I am the current reigning defending holder of the Hammer of Truth and Justice. And James is not, although shout out to James. He is the postseason champion on our podcast. Bad news, lock of the week, ice cold. 0-2, and it's all James's fault because he forced me to agree on the Saints. Last week, it was the only agreement that we had between the two of us that didn't hit. We also agreed on the Lions. We also agreed on the Falcons. I wanted to pick the Falcons because I'm a Lions fan. Didn't want to make our best bet of the week, Lions, back-to-back weeks. Probably should have with how that Bears game ended up. We should have gone with the Falcons as well. Shout out to James. He did hit a plus 185 money line bet on the Falcons, which was a no-doubter from the start. Going back to the Packers and the Commanders Thursday night, I am red hot 100%, hitting 0-1 on Thursday night this season so far. And I think it was the best handicap in podcast history. Basically what I said was the Packers are going to win because they're the youngest team in the NFL. Commanders are the oldest team in the NFL, and they have a short week, so they're going to have short rest, short recovery. Who recovers better? Younger teams, younger athletes. So that was an easy peasy lemon squeezy bet, and if you watched it, you were not sweating that out at all, so congratulations to you. Speaking of which, one of my podcast loyal followers from the beginning, an OG fan, David Jakes, mentioned that he did not get the episode in time. So he missed a lot of the best numbers that we've got, which is a real bummer. So important note on that. If we recommend a bet and that number moves a whole point, probably don't bet it. And if it moves to a key number, so for example, if it moves from 3.5 to 3, or God forbid, 3.5 to 2.5, don't bet it. Okay. Just stay off of it. Unless you are feeling lucky, then maybe do a half unit or whatever. Bet $1 on it. Try and get 90 cents. Or $1.90 back after they give you your dollar back. Fins, down bad. So I did want to make fun of James because that was his whole preseason gambling episode was McDaniel to win head coach of the year, Tua to win MVP of the year, Dolphins to make the playoffs, which I did like. Not looking good there. And Dolphins to win the Super Bowl as his long shot Super Bowl bet. So preseason wise, I dominated him in the draft. I'm dominating him so far with my best bet. I think going right now, I recommended plus 1,100 Emeka Egbuka for offensive rookie of the year. So that's looking pretty darn good right now. If you put $1 on that, start counting those $11 you're going to get back from whichever sports book you placed that bet with. Wasn't all bad for James, however. He hit on the Colts over the Broncos, opposed to me with a little bit of luck along the way. Missed field goal there to end it, plus 110. So that's a money line plus money bet for James. And like I said, that Falcons over the Vikings money line, no doubter from the beginning, hit at plus 185. I did ride with him. I had Falcons at plus 4.5 on that one. So pretty good. Eagles over the Chiefs. Do the Chiefs stink? Probably. I think they really, really do stink. We'll talk more about it here in a little bit. James had the Eagles. I had the Chiefs. So shout out to James for beating me on that pick. But our sweet, sweet Prince on the podcast, he was our podcast MVP because he won us so much money 2 years ago. Baker freaking Mayfield and the Buccaneers, cover of the century. James was on the opposite side. It came down to this one. If the Bucs win and cover, I win on the week. And if the Texans win or cover, James is going to win on the week. And I was making all the excuses in the world. This was a historical, generational cover for Baker Mayfield on that final game-winning drive because the Bucs had a 35-yard missed field goal. I believe it was 36-yard missed field goal there. They had a punt block. They had a dropped interception on a screen pass. It was, if you get a punt blocked, you're going to have a tough time covering spread. That's just something that's not going to happen unless you're betting on Baker Mayfield. And that's why I did, especially on the big lights are shining. He will be playing well. And he was rumbling, stumbling, bumbling, and having a good time doing it. Go ahead and check out my Twitter at JMJKS to see a pinned tweet that I had from that game. Went 5.5 million views. Kind of crazy. So there you go. I am officially profitable on the year. So if you've been following me, congratulations. And I suggest you hop on board for the week 3 slate. And we are all aboard for week 3. So here we go. Got some winners on the way. We are starting with the Bengals and the Vikings. The Vikings are minus 2.5 or 3-point favorites. We do shop these lines for you, so please subscribe, ring the bell so you get notification as soon as these podcasts air. The over-under currently 41.5 to 42.5. This is a Sunday noon game and a backup quarterback matchup between Jake Browning for the Bengals with a turf toe injury for the starting quarterback Joe Burrow. JJ McCarthy out as well with an ankle injury. I'm sure that's real and not just a benching because he's been playing like the worst quarterback in the NFL through 2 weeks, including a game where he only played one good quarter against the Bears, who stink. So good job there in Minnesota. Not looking good. Carson Wentz is going to be filling in for JJ McCarthy. So we are going to go a deep dive review of these two quarterbacks. First, starting with Jake Browning, 29 years old, 32 years old for Carson Wentz, by the way. For the Bengals, Jake Browning led the team to a win over Jacksonville with 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, so that's not great. Played well in 2023, though, in 7 starts. He had 4 wins, 3 losses for the Bengals. Carson Wentz, 32 years old, like I said, in for the Vikings. Started 7 games for the Commanders in 2022, which was his last starting stint as an NFL quarterback. He was 2-5 in that stint. He had 11 touchdowns and 9 interceptions in that little section of the season as well. So I would say Jake Browning is the leader in the clubhouse for the better quarterback, him being a little bit younger, having more starting experience more recently. He came in, threw 3 interceptions, not great, but came away with the win. So you love seeing that. So what's the known value between these two teams? Of course, you would think the run game. So let's see how the run game matches up between these two teams. Bengals rank 30th in EPA per rush on offense, and they rank 13th in EPA per rush on defense. The Vikings rank 19th in EPA per rush on offense and 28th in EPA per rush on defense. So Vikings, terrible run stop on defense and below average running the ball. Bengals are terrible running the ball on offense and are slightly above average, about average in run defense. So because of that, I'm forced to take the better quarterback who is getting points with these run games looking pretty similar, slight edge going to the Bengals. So because of all that, I am going to take the Bengals, and unfortunately, I'm only going to be able to take them at 3 +3. Currently, the most updated line there was bet down. So you don't love seeing that when you're betting on the Bengals right here, but I still like that. Maybe not going to be the best bet of the week, but a pretty solid, juicy bet there. Texans at Jags will be our next game on the slate. The Jags are 1.5 or 2-point favorites in this matchup. This will be our live stream of the week. It will be noon on Sunday, so please tune in to see me sweating this bet out. Speaking of sweat, it is in Jacksonville, so you know we got to check the weather. It's going to be a high of 83, chance of thunderstorms over there in Duval. Obviously, Texans in Houston, they're used to practicing in the heat, although they play in a dome. Texans lose to the Rams and the Buccaneers. This is a tough game. This is the toughest game to handicap, and that's why I think I really like what I got here. Jags beat the Panthers, who stink. They lose to Jake Browning and the Bengals. So the Bengals probably also kind of stink. So the Texans lose to two good teams in the Rams and the Bucks. The Jags are 1-1 against the Panthers and the Jake Browning Bengals. So that's not good. However, statistically, it's kind of tough to argue against the Jags right now, which is why I like where I'm heading in this bet. The Jags defense ranks second in EPA per play. So the second best statistical defense, of course, with asterisks being they played the Panthers, who have gotten off to a slow start on offense outside of T-Mac connecting with Bryce Young. And, of course, Jake Browning and the Bengals. Although I will say, still got a couple of good wide receivers over there. So they were able to lock them down despite being forced to play Travis Hunter, who stinks on defense in some snaps there. And their offense is average, ranking 13th in EPA per play. Hard to argue, hard to ignore that. Texans on the opposite side of the spectrum. Defensively, they rank 23rd in EPA per play, well below average. Texas offense ranks 24th in EPA per play. And I get it. It's a strength of schedule issue, which is the big difference here. But I don't know. Something about that being ranked second in EPA per play for the Jags on defense. I think that means they're probably going to end up finishing the season top 15, top 10 maybe defensively. So maybe we're way underrating the Jags defense here. Check the run game here. The Jags 5th best in EPA per play on run on offense. Of course, funneling the ball through Travis Etienne. Who could have seen that coming? Texans 6th worst in EPA run on defense. So one of the worst run defenses versus one of the worst run offenses. And when you look at these matchups between the Texans and the Rams and the Buccaneers, Rams not known for being able to run the ball very efficiently. Buccaneers obviously kind of are known for running the ball sort of efficiently. So doesn't really justify their Texans being one of the worst run defenses in the league. And especially if there's thunderstorms, I like that a lot more for the Jags. Although I will say Nick Chubb's got some juice. So shout out to the fantasy football best ball followers of the program, because we were talking a lot about Nick Chubb all off season. When I opened up this spread, wanted to bet on the Texans so bad, and I could not make a statistical argument for that. So I got to say, I do hate their head coach. Don't think he's very good. Don't think he's very smart. So that's going to be my cope for being forced to bet on the Jags at -1.5. And historically, when I open up my sports book and I see, hey, this seems like an easy bet, and I look into it to justify what I think, and I find out that I'm wrong, last season hit at a pretty high rate in games where I was forced to bet against my own confirmation bias. So do that with what you want. I've got an even better bet coming for you, which I hope James is with me on. Not getting to it yet here, though. Next game up, Falcons at the Panthers. The Panthers at home are getting 5 or 6 points. The over-under set to 43 or 44 points. It's going to be a sunny game, high of 85. Sunny and hot, of course, at Hotlanta. They're used to practicing in the heat as well, although they are normally in a dome. The Panthers lose to the Jags, lose to the Cardinals. Cardinals might be good. Jags might be above average. Who knows? Falcons lose to the Buccaneers, who are pretty darn good, and they smoke the Vikings, Vikings, like I said, might really, really stink this year. Hopefully they do. Falcons, defense rank 8th best in EPA per play. Panthers rank 28th on defense. Falcons rank 16th in EPA per play on offense. Panthers rank 29th in EPA per play on offense. So bad for the Panthers. Elite, borderline elite to average for the Falcons in those sets of metrics. So that kind of point spread, Panthers being 5.5 points is a lot to cover with an average offense. So seems kind of right that they have set this line to about 5 or 6 points. Nice widespread for us to bet on. I don't like either of those. Okay. Falcons get the lead and run the clock in this one is what we're seeing here. And 3 out of 4 of these teams' games has gone under 43.5. The line currently at 44 points. So how I see this game going is the Falcons get off to a little bit of a lead. The Panthers are unable to score on this defense. And once the Falcons get the lead, they run the ball at one of the highest rates in the NFL. They're currently 50-50 in pass and run. I think the Falcons get a lead, nice little 5.5 point lead, and just run that clock out. And because of that, the game is going to go under 44 points. Moving on to another game that I really enjoyed handicapping. This is the widest spread of the season so far. The Cowboys at the Bears. Depending on the sports book, Bears are either a 1.5 point favorite or a 1.5 point underdog. The over-under is set to 49.5 or 50.5. Thunderstorms predicted for this game. Going to have a couple of bad weather games, it sounds like, unfortunately, based on where we are sitting currently in the forecast looking forward. Cowboys ranked 10th on offense and EPA per play. Bears ranked 28th on offense and EPA per play. Both defenses, don't worry about it. They're both horrible. So I do kind of lean towards the over, but the weather is coming. So I like the over, but I love the Cowboys plus 1.5. And currently you can get that on FanDuel. We'll see if that moves. That's the only Cowboys plus 1.5 you can get. Bears stink on offense and defense. Cowboys only stink on defense. So give me the Cowboys. Not like they're covering a big spread. Not like that Bears home field advantage is going to be worth anything. Great hotels there in Chicago. Easy to travel in and out of that city. Airport's pretty close, so not a lot. And Bears fans have already given up, so not a lot of home field advantage I'm calculating in here for the Chicago Bears. So give me the Cowboys plus 1.5 on FanDuel go ahead and grab that right now. Getting to my favorite game of the week to bet on. We'll see if James agrees with me, and I feel like he will on this one, knowing James. He's a big Dayball guy. Spoiler alert. Chiefs and the Giants. The Giants at home are getting 5.5 or 6.5 points. The over-under very low. Set to 44 and 45.5 points. This is Sunday night in MetLife Stadium. High of 70. We're going to get a brisk game here. And if you know me, you know I love brisk football games. I'm sitting here in Texas right now. Can't wait to get some brisk mornings to sip some coffee, maybe start a fire in our backyard. It'll be pretty nice whenever that happens, maybe in December, the way it's feeling, the way it's looking right now. Anyways, statistically, if you were to shield yourself from the names of these teams and look at EPA per play on offense, EPA per play on defense, if you just took the logo and the names away from both of these teams, you would not be able to distinguish which team is the Giants and which teams is the Chiefs. The only thing you could really distinguish is the quarterback statistics, because everyone knows Russell Wilson threw for like 450 yards last week in a loss. So he'll maybe be able to keep it close. And maybe some people are saying Cam Scadaboo unlocked this Giants offense. He looked amazing. Cam Scadaboo, rookie out of Arizona State. He almost single-handedly beat the Texas Longhorns in their playoff game. There was no other NFL prospect in that whole team other than Cam Scadaboo. They draft him. He gets a hamstring injury, then re-aggravates the hamstring injury, misses all of camp, gets some good touches here and there. I think wins a scepter in week 1 on a statistically very bad performance, does Cam Scadaboo. Week 2, Tyron Tracy starts the game. Or no, not Tyron. Tyron still starts ahead of Cam, but whoever the other old guy is over there started over Cam. Cam takes over in the second quarter, and it's over for these Jose's in New York, New Jersey. It was the Cam Scadaboo show after that, and for good reason. He's by far the best running back on the team. I would like to see him protect his head a little bit, even though he's got a big one. He's got a big noggin on him. Looks like a human bobblehead, the way he uses that thing out there for pass block reps, pass protection reps, and for when he catches screens. He just leads with his helmet. So longevity, a little bit worried for Cam Scadaboo, but hey, maybe the Giants have figured out that he is the second best running back in this draft class, just like we said he was early in the offseason. This is a classic. Wrong team favored. The Giants should be favorites at home in this one. They are currently getting 6.5 points. Statistically, like I said, these teams are Spider-Man meme. They're the exact same team as long as you don't associate the team name and the jerseys with these teams. So for that reason, best bet of the century, Giants plus 6.5. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And I can't wait to erase this invisible ink so I can see if James has the Giants money line. Stay tuned. I predict James is going to have the Giants money line on that one. Lions at the Ravens. It's going to be Monday night. A little bit of money coming in on the Lions, moving the line closer to even. Ravens getting 4.5 or under or favorites by 4.5 or 5.5 points, depending on the sports book. Over under set to 51.5 or 52.5. Sorry, that line moved as well right before the podcast. That line is currently at 52 or 53.5, I believe. Offensive EPA per play. Ravens ranked 2nd. Lions ranked 5th. Both of these teams were great offensively, great defensively in this metric. Not the case so far this season. Defensively, not the case on defense. They were both elite offense and defense last season. They're both elite on offense already this season through 2 weeks. And they're both actually average on defense. Ravens rank 15th in EPA per play on defense, that's including a game against the Browns. And the Lions rank 16th in EPA per play on defense. So they are very average as well. Although I will say the Lions have been stopping the run very efficiently. So that kind of gets me off of just betting the Ravens at -4.5. So look to the point total on this one. In Baltimore's 2 games, their point total ended at 81 points and 58 points. The Lions game total week 1 against the Packers ended at 40. So that'd be well under 51.5. Although statistically, the Packers defense is much better than the Ravens defense has been so far this season. And the second game, Lions almost covered 51 by themselves. The total of that game was 73 points. Over under is set to 52.5. If the Ravens come out and blow out the Lions, the Ravens are going to put up 40 points. The Lions are going to put up 21. The game's going to get pushed to the over. If the Lions shock the nation, or at least keep it close and cover this spread, I think the only way that happens is the defense being ultra opportunistic and forcing a lot of turnovers like they did against the Bears, which is, of course, is good for scoring point total as long as those turnovers don't happen in the red zone. Or the Lions are just going to get in a damn shootout like the Buffalo Bills did with this Ravens team. Also important to note, new defensive coordinator for the Lions. The new defensive coordinator seems to be wanting to run a little bit more zone than man, which of course is going to be good for stopping the Ravens because Lamar Jackson being a mobile quarterback, you need to play zone against a mobile quarterback, and Lions refused to do that last year. And you saw how it worked against the Bills with a mobile quarterback, one of the only kind of bad games the Lions played in the regular season last year. So if the Lions play a lot of man, Ravens are probably going to cover. I don't know how they're going to handle it. Either way, I think both teams score a lot of points. So I am going to be on the over. And unfortunately, that line has been pushed higher to 52.5. And it being a primetime game, I'd probably suggest that y'all take that right now. Do not wait. Run to your apps on your phones, your tablets, your computer screens to get that number because you will need it ASAP. Okay. And we are going to unveil the mystery note here from James for these games that we have handicapped so far on the program. And I'm wiping it away. Okay, a lot of money lines I'm seeing right away, including a game he did not previously send me. Oh, I did miss one. I missed a game. This is on me. Hand up. Okay, so James has he has no bet on the Bengals Minnesota game. I guess he had a contingency on that one, maybe based off of a trade. So I guess he'll have a no bet on that one, which will happen when James is on vacation and we have a lack of communication between the two of us. He did, however, a handicap that I missed. Pittsburgh against the Patriots. He has the Patriots at +1.5. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have a no bet on that one because I haven't researched it and we're on short time and I want to get this episode up. So just, hey, podcast followers, if you're a loyal podcast follower, you know you're just going to follow me anyway. Okay. So I have a bet there. Pittsburgh, New England. James has a bet on the Patriots at +1.5. Texans, Jags, a game we both handicapped and picked. I had Jags at -1.5. James has the money line. Texans -105. So we are opposed on that one. The Panthers, I, of course, had the under 44 points. James has Panthers at +200. That's a +200 bet there out of James. Cowboys and Bears. I had Cowboys +1.5 at FanDuel. It's the only sports book that you can see it And James looks like he's found that spread as well. He has Cowboys at -105. Maybe that FanDuel money line. We'll see where it's currently sitting as I'm recording, because he sent me these money lines earlier in the day. And the Cowboys, you can get even. So FanDuel's being a little bit stingy with the money line, but looks like on ESPN Bet currently, you can get, no, my mistake. FanDuel is being very stingy with this bet. You can get the Cowboys currently at -108. James recommended it at 105. So we'll call that 108 for James. I'm sure that couple of pennies isn't going to push him off of that line. But our best bet of the week, a game that I have already kind of handicapped for y'all and told y'all why I like it, how I like it. I predicted it. James likes the Giants at +225. I love the Giants, and that's going to be our best bet of the week. Giants +6.5. Officially, that will be our bet. James likes these money lines, and he'll probably never beat me until he starts betting spreads. But hey, that's just James for you. So don't ever bet money lines in the NFL. You'll never make your money back because of these greedy, dirty sports books. Like we just kind of reviewed the money line versus the spread for that Cowboys game. Okay. Anyways, Giants +225, his official pick. And he's got two recommendations. He's got both the Ravens at -12.5. Or no, he's got an alternate spread. He's got Ravens -12.5 at +220 on Monday night against the Lions. That's rude of him to say. Me being a Lions fan, I really like the over. So I think that's the only one that we even really agreed on. So you know what that means? It means your boy is probably going, how many bets do we have today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Probably going 6-0. Last season, talk about trends in gambling. Last season, the first Invisible Ink episode we did, solo episode for me, is the one I went 7-0 on. So hopefully I repeat history here. Rude for James to pick the Ravens at an alternate spread at -12.5 over a good Detroit Lions team who can stop the run. Doesn't make any sense to me. Ravens struggle stopping the run too. So look for Jahmyr Gibbs to have himself a day. If anything, if I were to bet on the Ravens, I think I would just take whatever Lamar Jackson's rushing total is, because I think the Lions are going to play a lot of man again. And that's why I really, really like the over, because I don't want to bet against Goff, because he is going to be slinging it against this average Ravens defense, not the Ravens defense from the last couple seasons that we have seen. And that's it for our program. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm going to get this episode out as soon as possible so y'all can get those tasty spreads at the current value that they are at. Be careful if they move too much. Just don't bet them. Just don't bet them, or bet a lot less. Please subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell so you guys can get these podcasts as soon as possible, so you can get the best lines that you possibly can, so you can win the most money over the course of the season. I want y'all to follow me and get those 26 units instead of 21 units, because that's the difference if you don't shop those lines and get the best value that you can. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. See you next time.